Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco, Dish Out on the Movies, and today we're doing Children of the Corn 6.
No.
Or should it be...
No. Children of the Corn 666, Isaac's Return.
Yeah, we have to have the 6 3 times to emphasize the fact it's the 666.
Safi, should we talk about the movie first, or should I talk about the story of the movie?
Oh, go ahead. If you know something about the movie being made, go ahead. That's a good idea. Go ahead.
Well, I when I was younger, I wanted to watch certain Children of the Corn sequels because I thought that some trailers looked better than others, and I thought that, in general, the first Children of the Corn sequel I want to watch is part 6 because Isaac returns. Like, he was great in the first one, so I was like, yeah, I want to see Isaac return. And the trailer looked pretty good, somehow, and I started, asking to get the movie over and over and over again, and I drew, a big poster, because that's what I used to do. I used to draw a poster of the movie's poster with colored markers. And we went to the video store, and we made some sort of a weird deal. It wasn't with Safi, though, where I would be allowed to watch the movie and rent the movie only if I watched Lawrence of Arabia first.
Oh, God.
And so then I watched Lawrence of Arabia, and it was just so piss poor and boring that I fell asleep, and I pretended like I watched it, and I just skimmed through it so I could pretend like I knew about it, because then after I finished watching it, see, what this person did was they hid Children of the Corn, so I couldn't watch it unless I first confirmed that I watched Lawrence of Arabia. And so I was like, no, I don't really care. So I went into the kitchen, and what happened was this person came into the living room and started testing me on what happened in the movie, as if I would care. And I was 8 years old, and it's who gives a flying fuck about Lawrence of Arabia?
Old. Yeah, really.
And so
asinine.
They said that I didn't know enough about the movie, so I had to watch it again because
come on.
I didn't understand it. And so what I did was I said, no, I'm not doing that. And I think when this other person went to the bathroom, I came into the kitchen and I found Children of the Corn 666, Isaac's Return. And I got it, and I just watched it and said, fuck off. And I never watched Lawrence of Arabia again.
It's really kind of a boring movie.
And I never would either. I have no intention of ever watching that movie, ever.
It's boring.
And it's funny because then
long.
The worst part was that, oh, you thought Lawrence of Arabia was bad? Oh, well, get ready for Children of the Corn. 666, Isaac's Return.
It doesn't last as long as Lawrence of Arabia.
Oh, it feels like it lasts as long as Lawrence of Arabia. And what happened was we went to Kroger and we got some dessert because I think we had to go out and get pizza. And so we went out to Kroger and we got 2 mini pecan pies from Kroger. And I ate the pecan pie while I was watching Children of the Corn. And it was so gross, and it was the perfect pairing and shit because it tasted terrible and the movie was terrible, and so it was the ultimate terrible movie extravaganza, all because of I don't know, it was a huge disappointment as a kid, and I thought I would never watch this again. This is complete trash. And yet here we are watching it again. And you watched it too.
I don't remember it at all.
You did.
Nothing about it seems familiar.
You did.
Well, nothing about it seems familiar. The only one we watched that was familiar was the one that does something different, meaning takes place in town and there's like 2 pieces of corn in it or
Well,
something.
see, Safi, you made up that rule where you had to approve things, and so I think you watched this movie with me or before me or something.
Well, I'm telling you, in watching it again, I don't remember it at all. I don't remember anything about it, so it must have been pretty forgettable.
It's pretty bad.
It is pretty bad. I mean, I don't remember anything about it. Nothing about it is familiar. Not anything.
So
I was kind of glad to see the original, what's his name?
Isaac.
I
just said that
I keep
name a
thinking
million
Malachi's
times.
not in it.
Malachi's dead.
Yeah, he's not in it. Well, I thought Isaac was dead too, but...
Well, he was. That's the thing, is that this movie pretends like Isaac did not die, but he fell into a coma instead.
For, I think they said 20 years.
And, wow. Oh. Well, what did you think about the movie, Safi? Don't explain what happened. Just say, what did you think about it?
Well, I have to make sure what I heard was correct. That the person, the main girl, the it girl, the final girl, because I don't think there were any other girls. Well, wait, her mother. The final girl and her mother, when she had been helped all along through almost 3/4 of the movie, I would say, this guy who didn't seem to be associated with anybody.
You're going to jump that far ahead?
Well, you said you wanted me to. I just was. I wanted
just say
to
what you
ask
thought
something.
of the movie.
Okay,
we have to get to that part.
I thought it was stupid.
That's the end. So you thought it was stupid.
Because
That's all
of what I heard. Maybe I misheard, but and how she guessed something, and either I misheard it or what she said was true, and it makes absolutely no sense, and it's just like, ugh.
The whole movie is basically...
It's really just stupid.
I guess it's centered on some sort of a Bible thing where it's about some person named Hannah.
Well, half of it is.
And
the other half, you can keep saying that, but the other half is just this girl comes from California. She's related to somebody who was a member of those kids in the original movie.
Yeah, the story is that all the children from Children of the Corn had children.
Yeah.
And so they're all evil too somehow.
And
just
she's
like
looking for her mother
Scream
for some
6.
reason.
Yeah.
And that's it. I mean, that's half of the movie. That's why this girl comes all the way from California to come to this godforsaken place in the middle of nowhere.
But it could be cool because they could, take advantage of that since they're not living around like all these stupid developments everywhere. So
there was lots of corn, and it was in the middle of nowhere. It wasn't in some town.
It felt like a Children of the Corn movie, but a really bad Children of the Corn movie. Like, I guess because I've already seen it before, but it is just terrible. And there are a couple of things that are good in it, I think, which I guess we should start off by talking about that.
Well, the other half of the movie is there's a prophecy, and it involves the girl who comes back to find her mother. But we don't know that at the beginning. We only know about the girl coming to find her mother.
You're like a reviewing robot, Safi.
I don't care. It's a stupid movie, and
But I just said there's good things about the movie.
Okay, well, let's
that
hear
means
what the good
that
things
means that
are.
either you would say good things or I would say good things. It wouldn't mean you'd start like explaining the other part of the movie again, like you're a robot.
What are the good? Let's talk about what are the good things about the movie.
Well, I thought that the woman who played the cop was pretty good. The evil cop.
Who is that anyway?
I don't know.
She seems familiar.
I thought she was good. I didn't like her as a kid though because I didn't really like anything about it as a kid. And then Isaac, the guy who plays Isaac,
I like that.
He's really, really good. He's
perfect for the part.
It's just sad because this is why I hated it as a kid, is because I wanted to see like Isaac the whole movie. and you only see him for like 10 minutes out of an hour and 20.
Yeah, he's not really in it much. In the first part, because he's in this coma, of course he's not saying anything or doing anything because he's in a coma.
But you still look at him and go, oh shit, that's Isaac.
Yeah.
Of Isaac and Malachi. Like, you don't want to mess with him even though he's in a coma. And then I thought the main guy from Bone Chillers, did you recognize him?
No.
You know, Isaac's son.
Oh, yeah.
You know, he was okay. You know, I was that's another reason I hated the movie as a kid, is because I love the Bone Chillers episodes, and I thought they really like kind of gave him the bad end of the deal with this movie. Like he was just a total like screw up. I guess that was kind of there was like the stupid subversion thing. This movie is the ultimate subvert your expectations of Children of the Corn, because he's Isaac's son, but instead of being like Isaac, he's just a complete idiot. He doesn't really care about any of it at all.
No, he doesn't.
And he doesn't care about fulfilling any prophecy or anything, so it's like a subversion, subverting your expectations on that. And then I'm trying to think, is there anything else that's good? Like, some of the kills are okay. They're okay, but other than that, this movie's terrible. Like, it's so bad. Right off the bat, it starts off, and you hear the main actress speak, and that's when you know you're in for a bad time. Because she's like a terrible actress in comparison to even the people from the last movie. And she starts off with like this narration, and she's just so like boring and monotone, and just like she's not even trying. What do you think, Safi?
It's just the story, her coming, I mean, she's coming all the way from California to Nebraska in the middle of nowhere to see if her mother is still alive. And it just freaks me out because I guess that somebody might be wanting to do something like that.
That's the best they could come up with, Safi.
And I mean, but that's only half. The other half is there's a girl coming back who's my daughter, Isaac's daughter, I guess. That's supposed to be Isaac's daughter?
Is she?
I don't know.
So he wanted his children to have a child, is that what he? I don't.
The prophecy, though, it's supposed to happen this year, this time, and so all of those things associated with the prophecy, she's going to get together with his son, his real son, the one that Marco just talked about.
You know what would have been?
And they're going to have, you know what, and then they're going to have a baby.
You know what would have been really hilarious?
The prophecy.
You know what would have been really fucking hilarious?
What?
What if, this was a 2023 movie,
Mm-hmm.
and the girl, when she comes to town, she talks to Isaac, and he's like, "Oh no, I just realized. What are you trying to be?" And she's like, "Well, I am not a girl. I am a female to male transgender. And I have my lady parts removed, so I can't have children anymore." And Isaac would be like, "Oh, shit." And he'd have to do some supernatural shit to change her back from being transgender. Wouldn't that be hilarious?
Well, it's nothing against anybody. It's just the fact that it's the movie itself. Yeah, well, it's just ridiculous.
It's that the story is all centered around, like,
but the thing
Isaac's
is,
daughter needs to get screwed.
If she's his daughter and he's his son, that means that would be incest.
And we were talking about that.
What the hell?
We were talking about that last video.
That's worse than anything.
And the thing is, too, is that you just have to ask yourself, because this is what I asked myself as a kid. when I watched Children of the Corn, 666, Isaac's Revenge, did I sign up to watch a movie about this stupid girl getting screwed for Isaac? Like, is that the movie that I signed up for?
And I think that
No.
at the end, too, he was saying, because the son didn't want to participate. Marco just said it. He didn't want to participate in any stupid prophecy. He didn't want to have anything to do with it. In fact, he had a girlfriend, and they killed her in front of him. And he cared more. He really cared about her, I could tell. At least he was, acting like he cared about her.
Well, she was a much better actress, too, so...
And, but the fact is, since his son wasn't going to do it, it sounded like he was going to do it with her.
Who, Isaac?
Yes. And that's horrible, too.
Well,
what
Safi,
the hell is going on? I don't think Stephen King
It's
intended
fucking
for
Isaac.
them to make some stupid sequel from his short story that was like that.
Remember, Safi, Isaac is the giver of his word, and the giver of...
Yeah, okay. But the bizarre thing, we'll talk about it whenever Marco decides he wants to talk about it.
it's
Unless
'cause
I didn't understand properly.
We're going through the move-in.
Okay,
and,
well, what else is there to say?
well, the whole movie had this ugly filter over it that made it look like it takes place in a 1970s Mexican village or something. Like, it has this, like, the whole movie looks like pee-pee and doo-doo. Like, everything and everyone just looks like they're covered in pee-pee and doo-doo.
Well, everything's dark and dirty, and there's a lot of dirt, and there's bugs, and there's animals
it's just
mice
and
or
it's,
rats or
it's such a
whatever.
gross movie. I was watching it while I was eating my lunch, and I was like, ugh. And then, like, even when there's this certain part, and the scene is just, the main girl, the final girl, she's got to take a shower. And they got to make that gross by having this, like, weird, like, farmhouse fantasy sequence where this guy hoses her down.
And
then
he's been helping her through the whole movie.
Yeah, we'll talk about him.
Well, okay, that's who this guy is.
And then she hoses him down, and then they have sex, and it's just like the grossest thing I've ever seen. Like, remember how we talked about part 2 and how that had a weird sex scene? Like, this one took the cake.
Well, it was all blurred out at all. I mean, it was like
it
swirls.
was awful.
Swirls. It was like, I don't know what it could have been.
It looked terrible.
It could have been somebody sitting there tying their shoelaces. It was all swirls.
It was just so like, ugh.
I mean, why even bother?
Yeah, why bother? Like, just...
It was, I mean, I don't want to, I'm not into seeing a bunch of sex scenes
but
from
it's
a
like,
shitty movie, but it was just swirls.
If you're going to do it,
you
have
couldn't
to...
even see anything.
You have to do it properly. And there's so many examples of good movie sex scenes, and it's really infuriating when you see these ones, because you know what happens is you'll have these retards, and they'll say, well, movies don't even need to have sex scenes. And it's like, no, that's not true. It's just...
They're saying they're going to have it, but it doesn't... I mean, there wasn't any semblance to anything sexual.
Well, it was just gross anyway, because, like, they did that hosing thing, and they're, like, in this, like, barnyard area, and there's, like, a cage or something. Like, it was so weird. And I remembered as a kid being like, I did not want to watch whatever the fuck this shit is.
Well,
like,
you couldn't see anything. It's like I said, somebody could have just been tying their shoes, and they swirled it up.
I mean,
said, oh, this is people having sex. Well, it's not.
I mean, like, the whole movie, though, like, the whole thing is just so bad, and it's such a subversion of, like, what any normal person would want to see of a Children of the Corn movie. Like, you think about Part 2, Part 3, Part 5. Like, those movies at least understood what people, quote-unquote, wanted to see from a Children of the Corn movie. And then, they spend a lot of time at, like, the hospital, and
I'd say at least a third of the movie, maybe.
Or
third.
And the frustrating thing about that is that the pacing is terrible. And so even though they only spend like 20 minutes at the hospital, it feels like 10 hours.
Well, the reason why they were there at the hospital, first of all, she got injured in the car again. I mean, this happens in every movie now. Somebody gets injured in the car, or the car gets injured, or the car
gets injured.
Meaning it's undrivable. But at least it was drivable. So that was a good thing. But anyway, she's looking for her birth records. So she's not really sure about who she's related to, and if she's still alive and all that. So she was just looking for the birth records. And she does know the name. She's got that. So,
and
that's
like,
why they're there at the hospital.
Most of the movie, like, nothing happens. Like, people are just walking around, or...
They're riding their motorcycles.
Oh, gosh.
They're little tiny Enduro, or those are not that tiny, but Kawasaki or Suzuki or whatever.
They're just sitting around. They're just like, they're just doing things. They're not really doing anything, though. Like, just nothing happens. And I just remember, the disappointment just grows and grows and grows as you continue watching the movie. It never stops disappointing you. Like, that should be the quote on the cover. It never stops disappointing you.
And what's funny, too, we didn't even mention this, Stacy Keach is in the movie.
Well, because he's just like, meh.
But see, it's another, you had William Wyndham in the last movie. And he had been around
Safi,
a lot longer than Stacy Keach. Stacy Keach used to be a detective, a TV detective show.
Who the hell is William Wyndham?
I want you to look up William Wyndham.
Who the hell is
you look him up.
Who the hell is William Wyndham?
But anyway, so Stacy Keach, he also plays a doctor, just like William Wyndham did. So they have all these established men who are older or haven't been making many TV shows or movies in the last decade or something, and they play a doctor, and then they get killed. And so what happens to Stacy Keach? Oh, guess who's killed him? Isaac, because he got out of his coma at the hospital. And why did he kill him? I'm not really sure, because he wasn't really trying to stop
I can't remember. I guess because
it doesn't seem like he was trying to stop anything from happening.
He told the final girl to get out of town or something. Like
Big deal.
Like, it was just an excuse for a kill to happen, because no kills happen in the movie until there's like an hour in the movie. Like, it's so slow, it's so poorly paced, and there's not even really any Children of the Corn in this movie, except for this one kid who's like such a terrible actor that he's just the worst child actor I've ever seen. Like, he's in all these scenes where he just runs up to the main girl, he smiles at her, and then he runs away. And there's this one hilarious scene where the motel girl who gets beheaded or gets chopped in half later in the movie, she like barges into the girl's room unannounced, and she's giving her towels, and she just leaves the door open for this random little kid to like go in there, and then the kid like smiles at her and then giggles and closes the door. It's so bad. It's so like laugh worthy. I did laugh at that scene.
And I don't even know who he was.
He was a Children of the Corn.
Oh, okay. Oh boy.
I told you, that's the only Children of the Corn, though. Like, all the rest of the people in the movie, they're like adults, because the intention is they're all the Children of the Corn. They're all the kids of the kids, which is fucking retarded, because it's like, yeah, everybody is a kid of a kid. So it's like, it's not really, like, I don't know. I think the people who wrote this movie were I think they wrote it while they were in a coma.
I don't know.
Because it just, like, I don't know who would want to put their name on this movie as having made it. Like,
well, somehow, let's keep going, but somehow Isaac wakes up from his coma, and
he starts becoming a leader of the Children of the Corn again.
yeah, making his presence known. He kills the doctor.
And he's so good, though. He's such a good actor that you just kind of ignore the fact that it's stupid because you want to see more of him acting.
And she finds out her mother is alive, and she also goes to a cemetery near her mother's house, and there's a grave for her. In other words, when she was a baby. So her mother had pretended like she had died so she could get her out of town and away from Isaac.
It's weird because Isaac in this movie, he's nothing like he was in the first movie. He's
been in a coma.
But he's like a completely different character. And honestly, I thought that there was a really good story idea of like, what if Isaac fell into a coma and then woke up 25 years later, and then he had to like create his own cult again. Like, that could have been a really cool movie, and it could have been a really like awesome, like, yeah, that's a great sequel movie. But instead, it's just a piece of trash. And the final variable that we have saved for the very last to talk about before we give our food rating is, the final girl, she's terrible, but this guy, he is the worst. Like, he is the absolute worst. He comes on the screen and he's this like motorcycle bad boy stereotype
Hanging around the town.
And he's just so bad, and he's so like, ugh. Because you spend more time with him in this movie than you ever spend with Isaac.
Yeah, that's true.
It's really irritating. And he's just so like, ugh. Like, he's the worst. He's the absolute worst. He's the worst character of this whole series so far.
Well, he's the most evil if he says who he said he was.
Well, yeah, what happens is that, they do this subverting expectations thing where it looks like he's a good person and he's trying to help her get away from Isaac and his wanting to, I don't know.
Do this prophecy thing. Fulfill this prophecy. Which, if it was fulfilled, so what?
They basically should have just called it Children of the Corn, Isaac's Prophecy. Yeah. Like, they shouldn't have even called it his return, because his return was barely a focus of the movie. I mean, they were planning on his return. All the people in the town, like, they knew he was going to return at some point. So he tricks her into thinking that he's a good boy and that he's likable, and she falls in love with him. And then he
They're
does.
The ones that took the shower together with the hose.
Safi, I was getting to that, Safi.
Oh, okay.
You don't just need to recap everything, and cause that's what I'm doing right now. And so he does something really evil, and he makes Isaac's son kill himself in like the weirdest way I've ever seen in a movie. They play this weird song where it's like, I don't even know the words. It was just like this weird early 2000s, late 90s song, and it wasn't similar to any other music in the whole movie. Like, it was just this one song that just popped up, and it was like, ugh, this is like some trendy song that's complete trash, and nobody even listens to it anymore. And the guy from Bone Chillers, he's influenced by this motorcycle guy to take a what do you call it?
Sickle.
He takes a sickle, and you guys aren't going to believe this,
they're
too.
They're in this barn, and they're all, like, kept nicely.
It's cartoony.
Barn.
Yeah.
Like it's a museum area or something, but it's in a barn. I don't know.
And he puts the sickle on the ground where the blade's facing up, and then he forces himself to fall on the sickle, and it's just like, really? Really? And then the couple, they go off. They had their gross shower sex, and then there's the stupid confrontation in the hospital, right? Didn't they go back to the hospital again? Yeah.
I don't know why. I guess they're looking for Isaac because they think he's hanging out at the hospital. I guess he is.
I would have just preferred if they just ended it in the cornfield.
Well,
I
that's,
mean,
that's what you would think,
it's
really.
fucking children of the corn, not children of the hospital.
And it wasn't any special hospital either.
No.
And it was dark and dirty.
It was like that's all they could afford.
Yeah.
And
I don't know why they couldn't afford to go to the corn. Maybe it was raining that day or something.
Well,
I
just hesitate to think, like, what did they give these actors to eat?
Oh, God.
Gas station surprise. Like, how many times you think they had to put off shooting because all the actors got sick from eating gas station food?
Okay, come on.
That was the real prophecy, was that they would all get food poisoning. So they go back to the hospital, and then the evil policewoman, she kills herself because the motorcycle guy influencing her, which I was kind of disappointed because I thought she was good. I thought she was one of the better actors in the movie.
Well, you're missing the thing, the obvious thing. The motorcycle guy has powers. Why? He's power. He made her kill herself. He made her turn the gun by looking at her.
Influenced.
Well, I know that, but that just sounds like, oh, he told her to do it, and she said, okay, I will.
I'm beating around the bush because then they get to this confrontation between Isaac, final girl, and bad guy, and the bad guy wants her to kill Isaac, and she's like, no, I don't want to kill Isaac. He's I just don't want to do it. And then the mom is tied up.
She says don't do it either.
And so the motorcycle guy reveals that he is actually he who walks behind the rose.
Yeah, he's a human being now.
Yeah, and the whole movie, he has subverted the expectations by hiding in plain sight, by being this side character. And I wanted to throw up and just destroy the movie into 1,000 pieces.
Oh, I thought I'd misheard it, so I wasn't even sure. When he said that, I thought, did he just say what he said? He's the guy behind the rose. The guy behind the rose is a monster, but he turned into this kid or he took over a kid's body. I don't know, because it's not really explained, is it?
No.
No.
Not at all.
That's what I thought.
So it's just stupid because it's so queer the way that, like, oh, he hid in this pretty boy the whole movie, and so she falls in love with him and they have sex. So she is pregnant with he who walks behind the rose, Junior. And then they kill Isaac, and then they kill motorcycle guy, and the mom and daughter go off. But we don't know what's going to happen because she's pregnant. So, like, I hesitate.
So they set it up for another sequel.
I hesitate.
That's how they do it.
The next one, they could have called it Children of the Corn, the final girl's abortion.
Don't do that, Marco. Let's not do that.
That's what she'd have to do because she wouldn't want to have the he who walks behind the rose, Junior.
Okay, yeah.
And so, like, what else were they going to do to the movie? Like, was she going to...
The kid's going to be born. It's going to be like, what's that? Omen, Damien from Omen or something. Or
but that would be
It's going to be like the child of
we already have Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah, Rosemary's Baby.
Part 5 at the end with the little baby with the yellow eyes.
Oh yeah.
So
that's right. Oh my God, we're going to have 2. Weird. Oh, I know that. God, I don't know. Yeah, so see, already you can tell
you know,
it's
but
totally,
you don't know.
It's totally bizarre. Totally
it's stupid.
It's totally stupid.
It's just, this is not the story we wanted to see.
Yeah.
Out of anything. Like, it's another embarrassment to the franchise, even though I would say the franchise it doesn't look very good.
No, it doesn't. They've really destroyed it.
Yeah, I mean, part 3 was really good.
How many more of these are there?
Oh, there's 7, 8, 9, the remake, and the other remake that's coming out.
Lord.
Well, it already came out in theaters, but it'll come out on digital on the 21st. which
Oh, yeah.
that's how I planned this whole thing, was by doing that.
Okay.
So, what would you rate it in terms of food, Safi?
I would rate it as a peanut butter and jelly sandwich without the peanut butter.
Really?
Well, when you say you're going to have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, you're going to have, what are you going to have on it? Peanut butter and jelly. So it's supposed to be Isaac's return, right? So if you think about Isaac's the peanut butter, because he's really a good actor. He is probably one of the best things about the first Children of the Corn.
Yeah.
He and Malachi were really both good, I thought. And they really made the movie. And they made everything, I mean, everything revolved around them. And especially him, he was really good. And you actually think at the end of that movie it's going to be over. And
Because he died.
But because he dies and everything. Malachi also died, right? So
Yeah.
I would say this is the peanut butter and jelly sandwich without the peanut butter, and Isaac's the peanut butter. It's just jelly. Who wants to eat a jelly sandwich? Not me. Gross. 2 pieces of bread with just jelly on it. Ugh, God.
Eat it, Safi.
Too sweet.
Eat it.
So anyway, what did you think of it as?
Well, I would think the first thing I thought of was the green on the poster, because even though I hate the movie, I do think the poster is pretty cool. I mean, the poster has like a supernatural element to it, and I like the green and black, and I thought the poster made the movie look really good in comparison to Part 5, where it's just 4 boring people in red and a cross or whatever, like boring. So the first thing I thought of was Easter years ago. I can't remember which year, and we made what we usually did in the past is we would make this pistachio cake, and then we would make pistachio icing or and have ice cream with it.
It's a pistachio pudding cake.
And we made this bunny. It was like a pistachio bunny, and we put jelly beans on it, and we made it look like an Easter bunny. And it was good for the first slice, but then we put it in the refrigerator, and we couldn't eat it anymore because the shitty-ass refrigerator...
We had a terrible refrigerator in the house.
...leaked water all into the cake, and it ruined the cake.
Well, maybe that's what I can make for Easter this year then.
So we
haven't had that in a while, so
and we didn't and we couldn't eat it, and
we
so
won't have any trouble with the refrigerator we have now.
That's what reminds me of this movie, is just this disappointment and feeling that you're not getting what you wanted to get, and feeling like I'm glad I didn't see this in theaters, because this would be a movie where I would go ask for my money back. Because I don't think they deserve it. Like, it's not even Isaac's return. It's Isaac's sex prophecy. So
it's just not a good movie.
Yeah.
And I was falling asleep near the end.
Really?
And I kept tapping it to see how much more there was left to go.
Yeah, it felt like 10 hours.
Marco told me they all take about the same amount of time, like an hour and a half. And so I was waiting, and I would look so I knew when it was going to end. And so that, to me, the shocking thing about it was that the guy who had been helping her all along was the person behind the rose.
And it was stupid.
It freaks me out. Because you wondered anyway, when they were at the very end, they're in the hospital, she's got this final confrontation with Isaac. Her mother's all tied up there. And the cop girl tied her up, and they were hitting her in the head for some reason. I don't know what they were trying to prove. And so you see this good guy with the girl, and he is doing stuff. He waves his hand, and somebody does something and kills himself. And more than once, and like, what is going on here? Where does he get this power? And then you find out, well, he's the guy that walks behind the corn. Well, the guy who walks behind the corn has not been a guy in the other movies we saw, he was either red light, green light, or he was a big dragon.
Well, Safi, that's what they call subverting expectations.
Yeah, that was a subversion of an expectation for sure. So, okay, well, now I know for Easter, everybody, I will be making, maybe Marco can help me, we will make a pistachio pudding cake, which I used to make. I made one for my father-in-law's birthday, built like in 1986. Yeah, and I've made them since then, but not very few times. And like Marco said, the last time I made it, we had just this terrible refrigerator. I wanted to get rid of it, and they wouldn't get us another one, and I wanted to just buy our own, but then of course we would have to take it with us everywhere we go, and who wants to move with your refrigerator? I certainly don't. And we have a nice refrigerator now, and so we can make the cake and for Easter, which is coming up, like, I don't know, the week of the April 6th through 9th or something.
After we did the failed cake, we did this one recipe that was kind of interesting, where it was some sort of like Oreo cake thing, or like Oreo pudding thing, and it ended up being like dirt cake, but minty flavored dirt cake.
Yeah, I remember that.
That was pretty good, but kind of little. It needed some adjustments.
Do that too, but maybe we'll do something.
Pistachio is good. I mean, you have pistachio, and somehow it all works.
Yeah, you put it in it's like a chocolate cake with pistachio in it, and then the icing is all like the pudding and milk and everything. So it is really good. So anyway, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want to become one of our subscribers, we welcome all new subscribers. And we also like feedback. And we also like to hear what people think about the movie, if they've seen it themselves, or if they're interested in the Children of the Corn franchise, or if they've even read the story. I would be interested to hear about anybody who's read the story, to see how it matches up with these terrible movies. And what they think. What do you think what Stephen King thinks about, or does he even care about these? Well, the original one and any of the other ones that have been made. So.
Well, he's already said before that he thinks all the sequels are trash.
Oh, really?
He says
he
could have gone without them, but I would disagree. I mean, part 3 is way better than part 1. So.
Yeah. So goodbye, everybody.
Bye.